Hi, I'm Realtor Bert Tade. Welcome to another edition of Sipping Coffee or Tea with Realtor Bert Tade. This is an educational video series designed to help the real estate public maneuver through the hype, the hoopla, and yes, even the media negativity surrounding the real estate industry. And these educational videos are for both buyers and sellers. Today's video is the second in a four-part series for sellers. We are going to be covering a couple of different topics about the home selling process. First video that you might have seen already is preparing your home for sale. The second one, that's this video, is pricing the home correctly. Never get a second chance to do that. And marketing strategies for selling a home is number 3. And you'll also be able to see staging tips to attract buyers in this four-part series. This is number 2. Let's get into it. So, pricing the home correctly, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to conduct a CMA. Everybody hears a CMA. If your real industry professional says CMA, they should tell you that it's an acronym for comparative market analysis. All right, and it's basically going to be a review of the recent empirical data on sales in your specific neighborhood, right? Similar homes, and I try to focus on the last 3 months, particularly in this market, right? Here we are in June of 2024, and let's face it, things have slowed down in our market. So now more than ever, it's important to see what homes are selling for. I read an article recently about how our state and Florida are actually seeing decline in prices, right, and values. So it's now more than ever critical that we're getting the most recent empirical data, and we're going to try to focus on a plus or minus 20% of the square footage is what I always do. I always, when I'm assigning a value to a home for a listing, I always want to get into the mind of an appraiser, right? Well, the appraiser says that the contributory value of square footage is about a third, right? So the plus or minus 20% of the square footage, because we're going to be doing, we're going to be using the principles of contribution and substitution on that CMA, the aforementioned CMA, and we definitely want to get find homes that are similar in square footage. So that's the first thing we're going to do, and we're going to consider properties that are currently on the market and those that did not sell, right? We're going to also look at the adjust for differences, and that's again the contribution and substitution adjustments that I told you about. Add and subtract, right? Compared to our subject property, right? The home that we're going to be selling. Adjust for differences in size, condition, location, and features. Okay, so that's how it's done. If you've ever protested your taxes, have you ever, last time you bought a home, I'm not sure if you looked at the appraisal for the home, but another way that you can see it on an annual basis, frankly, is if you protest your taxes and you check the box that you want the evidence packet. Then they're going to send that to you, and they'll have the plus and minus of the features, condition, and so forth, right? For and square footage for the home. So it's a as well as the location, right? So is it on a corner lot and so forth, right? There's some adjustments that are done for that as well, and swimming pools are not as worth as much as you think, and you're not going to get dollar for dollar. If you spend $150,000 because you built a swimming pool, a really nice custom swimming pool up in Stone Oak, and they had to chisel into the rock to build it and to remove the spoils, right? The big boulders, and not going to get it dollar for dollar. So don't ask your agent for for $150,000, to price it $150,000 more for the home just because you have the swimming pool in the hill in an area which is at the foot of the hill country, where it's a little bit more problematic to build pools and a little bit more challenging because your home's going to be sitting a long time. Just not going to get dollar for dollar. Okay. Second one is, of course, to consult an experienced real estate professional like myself. This is not a a billboard to promote my services. However, the name of my company, Santino Properties LLC. You're welcome to Google us if you'd like another opinion. We have 10 years in the business, and we have a lot of home sales. And here recently, we've done very, very well with our listings in terms of original list price to sale price. Why? Because we price it correctly from the beginning, right? None of that pie in the sky stuff. I heard something funny the other day that somebody said the home sellers think it's 2021 and the home buyers think it's 2008. Think about that for a second. It'll sink in just a minute, right? It's not 2021 with multiple offers left and right. So when you work with an experienced agent who knows the local market, it's an advantage to you. Right? It's beneficial because your agent can provide valuable insights and help you price it competitively, as I just mentioned. Right? It's not about giving the house away. Let's just price it really low and let's just see what comes out and let's let people fight over it and bid up the price. Some agents will do that. But also, conversely speaking, some agents will promise, somebody in Westover Hills that they can sell their house for $5 million. That's just not going to happen, right? Remember that your buyers that are coming to view your home, buying a home is a process. It's not an event, right? Nobody wakes up one day and says, "Hey, let's go buy a house today." They're going to do some due diligence. They're going to do a lot of research, and they're going to be very knowledgeable about your area. And they're also represented by somebody who's capable and competent and experienced. Let's just assume that, right? So price it right the first time. Never get a second chance to not stigmatize your own property. Overpricing the home is going to create elevated days on market. And you're going to reach a point that I refer to as critical mass with my clients. And my listing appointments, they tell me we reach critical mass. It's because we've reached the point where the National Association of Realtors, who track statistics for us, say that 2 weeks and no showings, home was priced too high. Or 10 showings and no offers, home was priced too high. And price fixes everything, folks, right? So you price it too high. And you got about a 90% chance of the home never selling for that price, ever. So price fixes everything. You're going to have to drop the price, right? Adjust the price. Don't do that, right? Because then it makes you look desperate, and everybody, the whole world can see how many price adjustments have been made, and it's a bad way to go. So rely on their expertise to balance between pricing the property high enough for value, but low enough to attract the buyers, right? Again, that's the happy spot, right? How do we do that? Consult with somebody experienced that can guide you through that process. The third thing I'd like to mention is to consider market conditions. So you're going to analyze for market trends, right? It's particularly in that neighborhood or that area of town, including supply and demand, because price is governed or dictated by what a ready, willing, and able buyer is willing to pay on any given day. Well, what are they willing to pay? It's simply a function of supply and demand, folks. Simple economics, right? So if you can do the things that I talked about in the first video about prepping the home for sale and putting your best foot forward, coupled with pricing it correctly, then you know what? The buyers are out there. Even in this slower market, I'm telling you, a well-priced home at a price at an asking price that will cause it to sell, coupled with all of the things that we're talking about here with staging and so forth, you're gonna enjoy a good degree of success because the buyers are out there. So analyze the current market trends, including supply demand. Take into account seasonal factors which may affect buyer activity. So it's funny because I always hear people, well, I'm just going to wait until the summer, until late spring, summer, to list my house for sale. That's what I'm talking about, seasonal, right? Okay, you could do that. You're also going to remember, whether you're buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, you're entering into a competition. So you have to ask yourself, how am I going to win that competition? Because if that's the case, you know what? Selling it in the summer months, just remember, that's great. More buyers are out, but there are also more listings competing against yours. Just a thought. Be aware of economic conditions that might impact the housing market. Okay, so I don't want to hear any of that nonsense about, well, this is 2024 is an election year, and oh my God, everybody's holding their breath, waiting to see if Donald Trump will get reelected or if Joe Biden will be back in office, and it's kind of like, let's not worry so much about the White House, and let's have you worry a little bit more about what's going on in your house, right? So I think that we should not worry about economic conditions in that sense, from a political standpoint. It's way too divisive right now in this country. So instead, economic conditions, as in like interest rate environment. We're in an interest rate environment right now. It's a little bit challenging. I don't know, 7.15, 7.25, 7.5, whatever that is. It's a little bit above 7%, but still below the historical average, going back to 1971 of 7.67%, right? So it's below average still. However, a far cry from 3.5% or whatever it was, just 2-3 short years ago. So that's one of the market conditions. That's what I'm talking about here, right? The FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee, they do not set the mortgage interest rates. However, it's all in lockstep. It has to do with the 10-year Treasury. Fannie Mae's keeping very close eyes on that in order to set mortgage rates and so forth. So right now, there's been no price drops because inflation's not under control yet, and consequently, they have even talked about. There's been some whispers about them raising rates. Now, will Jerome Powell and the FOMC be pressured politically, because it is an election year, to at least drop drop rates at least once this year before the election? That would be a bad way to go. No. This is the economy we're talking about, the U.S. economy that drives the rest of the world economy. I hope we're not making decisions based on that, but instead, a good, sound economic decisions at those higher levels, based on good, hard evidence and data, and what's best for our country in terms of controlling inflation. Okay, so the last thing I'll talk about is to set a strategic price. So avoid overpricing. We've talked about that already, which can lead to your home sitting on the market too long. Again, don't stigmatize your own property. Just don't do it. Consider pricing slightly below market value to generate more interest and potential bidding wars. Again, I'm opposed to that. Okay, but what I want to say is that be open to adjusting the price based on feedback and the market response. That's the most important thing, right? So you put your best foot forward. Don't take the last one that I just talked about, but instead walk in at a price that will cause it to sell. Offer it to the market. Don't stigmatize your own property by overpricing it, and then be willing to adjust the price. And I told you about critical mass a minute ago, right? So those are the 4 aspects that I wanted to talk about with regard to pricing your home correctly. This is video number 2 of a 4-part series, and my videos, educational video series. This one has been pricing your home correctly, and this has been sipping coffee or tea with Realtor Bert Tade, educational video series here on my channels. Be sure to like and subscribe by hitting the button below, whatever platform you're watching it on, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about pricing the home correctly and what you think about my advice. I'm Realtor Bert Tade. I'm also broker owner of Santino Properties LLC. Thanks for watching my video. Hopefully you found it helpful.